Hey guys, it's Nick Fratz-Orr with Rayleigh Realty, and I'm standing outside of my house at 505 G Street, and I'm sure that a lot of you guys had followed this on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever. I posted it all over the place because I was really excited about doing my first house flip and my first remodel ever, and so it's complete. My house is now under contract, and so before it sells, I wanted to, before it goes to closing anyways, I wanted to do a video and do basically a full video of all the work that I did. Nina Beitzel and I did a little video at the very beginning when I had just started doing renovations on the house, and we were doing demo work and totally gutting everything on the inside and out. And so now that it's done, I just wanted to show you guys everything we did, and I'm going to start from the outside and work my way in. This whole project took about 6 months. I started in February, and I put it on the market in August. I think it was the 1st of August, and so it turned out really awesome. I'm really happy with how it turned out. It's pretty much exactly how I wanted it to turn out. When I bought the house, it was this ugly green color. It was like green, like the trees and grass. It was pretty bad. The concrete foundation was green. Everything was green. It was just ugly. So it kind of took me having a little bit of a vision of what I wanted this house to become, and also the quality of work that I wanted to put into this, and the quality of the materials that were going to go into this, so that when I go to turn around and sell the house, I know that I'm selling a good product. It's not something that was done cheap or like done half-assed. Everything was done with no stone left unturned. So I'm gonna walk you guys through the outside here. The first thing that you guys are gonna see is I'm gonna turn it around here, is this porch area. This was one of the last things to get done here at the house. I had a buddy of mine named Pete Kittle come out and did a phenomenal job. Installed all these railings here, and just made it look really, really nice. This was all closed in when I bought the house, and it had these ugly storm windows on it, and now it's all open. You have this breezeway here, really, really nice. I went ahead and did all new lattice around the base of it down here, and of course my mom and dad added some ferns that definitely made it look nice and show really nice. So yeah, all new lattice. We did the landscaping. Around the bottom here is a fiberglass waterproofing cement that I had Pete Kittle do as well. I did all new vinyl siding on here. I added gutters and downspouts around the outside here. All new windows the whole way around. You can see the downspouts run down right here. Did some nice landscape work around the edges here. Added some new light fixtures, all new metal roof, soffit, fascia. That turned out really nice, and I'm really, really happy with that. What you can't see down here is that there is a French drain, and that French drain runs down from basically where the stairs are, where the flue pipe is from the furnace, runs down around here, runs all the way out and down, and flows off the side of the hill there. Basically, when I bought the house, there was some pretty bad moisture issues in the basement, and I knew that being in real estate sales, I know that if you have a wet basement, more than likely you're going to have a hard time selling your house. It's just kind of an issue that comes up. It can be very expensive to get things done correctly, especially when you're dealing with basement moisture and or flooding. So that was actually not part of my original budget, and something that I learned throughout this process, which I will also say was extremely knowledgeable, and it has helped me tremendously in my sales business because of the experience I've had in doing all these renovations, communicating with contractors, coordinating things, and then do a lot of stuff myself as well. This made a huge difference for me in my career in real estate sales. And now I can tell people I've been there, I've done that. This is what you should do. This is what I did, and it worked right. That was probably one of the biggest things that that I've appreciated with doing this house flip, is the experience and the knowledge I've gained by doing that. So, like I said, there was no there was a pretty bad moisture issue when I bought the house, and there is zero moisture in this house now. It is like dialed in, and you can see up here where I added the gutters and soffit and fascia. Here's my new windows, more new windows. Added a new flue pipe out here, and this is the porch coming in from the driveway. Again, my mom and dad added some nice little touches here. Nice little sitting area, which is really nice, by the way. I've used it myself a couple times. Alright, we're going to go inside now. I'll show you guys around. These floors, when I bought the house, well, first off, the ceilings were just open. There was some drywall there, but it was probably 30 years old. And it was probably 30 years old, and I'm going to brighten things up a little bit here for you guys. It's a little dark. There we go. Probably 30-year-old drywall, and it was peeling, it was flaking, it was gross, it smelled bad. So we replaced all of the drywall in every single one of the rooms. We gutted everything, and then we insulated all of the interior walls. And these floors, I know that this doesn't look like much, but these floors here were brown, brown paint. And so I stripped these. It took me about 3 weeks. It took me about 3 weeks by hand stripping these. And it was some of the most hard work I've ever done in my entire life. Once I got done stripping them, and I had to put this, I had to roll on this, this paint remover, and the smell that came from that paint remover was unbearable. It smelled like I was in a sewer dump, and it was just sewage flowing, and I had to deal with that for 3 weeks. And then my buddy Bill, who helped me tremendously with drywall and finishing the drywall and numerous other things, he would come in, he would text me, and he would say, "Nick, it's too bad. I got to get out of there. I can't work in your house. It smells too bad." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, dude, I'm sorry." Like I thought it was, you know, I thought it was something else. But the smell's gone. Fortunately, it smells like new house. And this house is like 70 years old. So if that's a testament to what doing some remodel work will do to the smell, not just the look, not just the aesthetics, but also the smell of the house, definitely improves a little bit. But yeah, so these floors, I'll turn back around here. These floors were brown paint, and now they are completely refinished. I will walk you through all of the rooms and show you. There's some, like, you know, stains here and stuff where I just couldn't get out. I just couldn't get the stains out. It was just too much. Another room here. This room was actually the only one that didn't have paint on them. I didn't have to scrape this room, but all the other rooms I had to scrape. The kitchen here was the most difficult, reason being, this was a layer of tile, or vinyl, and then all the adhesive stayed on the floor, and below that was another layer of paint. So basically what I had here, and these ones actually turned out really, really nice. I'm really happy with how these are. But basically, I had to sand these time and time and time again. I rented 4 different sanders to do all of the sanding work. Here's another one of the other rooms here that I did, and this one turned out really well also. The tough thing was here, this room was easy because the length of the room goes with the grain. The length of this room goes against the grain, and you can only sand these with the grain, so that made it really tough. But I rented 4 different sanders. So the first sander I rented was kind of like a circular swivel sander, and I rented that one for about 2 hours. Didn't really work, wasn't really happy with it, so then I got a belt sander after I stripped all the paint by hand. So I went and got a belt sander. Then I was able to hit it with like a 26 grit to really rip into the paint, and then finish off with like 180 grit. once I went through all the different layers of sandpaper. That took me a couple days of renting that out from Underwood Rentals, or I guess it's Garrett Rentals now. The Ganglers helped me out and leased me a bunch of sander equipment to do that. Then the next sander I used was an edge sander, so to do around all of the edges here, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. You can't get that belt sander all the way against that edge, so I had to rent a belt sander to do all of that, or I'm sorry, an edge sander to go along all the edges, every edge in the house. This room, just around all these little corners here. That was pretty fun. And then the next sander I had to rent was a sander that had pads all over, and phone call, that had pads all over it and was like kind of a finished sander. And then once I did that, I laid 2 coats of the most expensive polyurethane I could buy down on the ground and or on the floors, and it turned out phenomenal. Really happy with how these floors turned out. That was definitely a first-time experience for me, refinishing those floors. A lot of work. Like I said, it took me about 3 weeks. Did it all myself. The smell was horrible. It was painful. I was sore. I was tired. I hated it. But it turned out really, really, really nice, and I'm really pumped on it. I'll tell you a little bit about the bathroom. Also, I did all of the trim around all of the doors and all of the windows. I was really proud of myself because I did all of this work. My window contractors only set the windows, they did not frame them. So I went in and I framed everything. I'm talking the seal here and then the actual trim itself. And as you can see, these are really, really good cuts. Everything was done really nicely. And then I did a layer of silicone all the way around on all of these windows, and I did the same thing here, as you can see. So these are super duper airtight, and I'll zoom in a little bit, that way you can really see the detail. Same thing up here, just everything is super tight and done really well, so really happy with that. Added a new thermostat, has forced air heating in here, natural gas, and then of course there's a natural gas insert over there. You don't really need it in this house because it's small, everything's insulated, and it holds its heat really well. In the bathroom, I did an all new vanity. I did all the bathroom work myself. Added the vanity. Down here you can see there's a vent. I had to build this box and add a vent in there because there's a heat duct that comes up and runs heat into the bathroom so that all the rooms in the house are heated. I did all my lighting, added my vanity, added these little things here, set my sink myself, did all of my silicone work here. Also, I'm trying to get it to focus, and on the work, did all my silicone work around here. Right, and then I added a new exhaust fan, added a super bright LED light in there, pretty happy with that. And again, I framed all of the doors in the house, and they're all done really well. For a house as old as this, I was really proud of myself for framing these doors, getting them to seal. Oops. Getting them to seal. Everything shaped up really nice. Really happy with that. Didn't have to do anything in the attic. The kitchen. Oh man, the kitchen. All right, so this is a really long video. I will say this is a lot longer video than I thought it was going to be, but I really just wanted to go in depth with you guys to show you what goes into doing a house flip. It's not just like, you know, put some drywall up and throw some paint on and slap a couple windows in. I mean, it's what you realize, and I think my dad told me this when I first got started, was you're going to talk to 3 to 4 different contractors to get 3 to 4 different prices and find the best price, you know, for cabinets, for appliances, for granite, for anything. And so you've got to talk to 3 to 4 people for every application of everything that you're doing, which was pretty interesting. And that's one of the things that I did very well, was finding good vendors to do good work. The kitchen, I went to Lowe's. I did all my dimensions and did all my dimensions myself. I drew everything up, everything from the location of this window, the height, the distance to the wall, out to where this window is here, the distance from that window to that wall, down to the ground, up to the ceiling. I had all the dimensions. And I had a basic idea of how I wanted to do this kitchen. I knew I wanted where my stove was going to go, because that's where it just made most sense. Didn't know how I was going to make the pantry work, but I kind of had a feeling I could just do a recessed pantry that didn't stick out as far as, like, say, these cabinets down here. So they weren't 2 feet out, they're only 12 inches. That made it so I could still use that window. I had to have plumbing ran in for the sink and the dishwasher and for the stove, because the stove used to be over here, which was completely dysfunctional. And so I designed all this myself. Anytime you're doing cabinets and you have to find level for your cabinets, what you have to do is you have to take from a diagonal point from that corner down to that corner, and you have to find the highest point from there to there, and then you have to get level to the highest point, and then you shim all of your cabinets to the highest point of that. So I had a company come in to do my I ordered all my cabinets. They came in 3 or 4 weeks. Everything was completely custom from Shenandoah. I'll show you here. I added all these handles myself. These were an afterthought, but they're the really nice soft shutting custom cabinets. This is how I would do my house if I was actually going to live here. That's kind of what I had in mind. Those are really, even on an angry day, you can come in here, you can slam those things, and they're not gonna slam. It's awesome. I love it. So I had a company come in here called BC Stone. BC Stone comes in, and their requirement for setting granite is 1/8 of an inch level for the entire 12 feet of my countertop. Now, let me remind you, my house was built in 1948, and this house has settled. It is not square. It is not level anymore. Maybe once in a long time ago, it might have been level, but today it is not level. And that I know for a fact. So the gentleman came in from BC Stone, the granite template guy, comes in here with his laser gun, and he's pointing his laser around. And basically what he's trying to do is he's trying to get from there to there a measurement to make sure it is completely level. So the gentleman looks at me, and I forget his name now, and he looks at me and he goes, Nick, he goes, who set your cabinets? And I said, I did. Is something wrong? And he goes, they're perfect. And I'm thinking, what? Like, nothing's wrong? Like, they're not off level? He goes, no, you literally set these perfect. Like, they're shimmed perfect. He goes, I can bring the granite out anytime. So they come out here, they bring the granite, they everything was already pre-cut. I got an awesome deal. Since I did my cabinets and my granite through Lowe's, they gave me a free sink that was already for undermount, which had the two bays and everything. I had to buy this separately, which I really didn't mind. I went with a really high-end faucet here, and it was like $300, but hey, whatever. I think it looks awesome. So they set the granite on, and all of a sudden I have a kitchen. I installed all the rest of my cabinets, got everything totally perfectly level, and I'm just super happy about it. So then I go to Lowe's and I pick out my appliances. I got all Frigidaire. I did not get a bundle price, unfortunately, but everything was stainless. Everything was, pretty good reviews from what I could see online. And everything works, and I love it. So that's a pretty basic run around of the kitchen. Also, there were no lights in any of these rooms. I had to add lights in every one of the rooms, including the living room, where we added a ceiling fan, and I'll show you. So I added this hallway light, bedroom light, ceiling fan, TV, another light, more lights, just lights everywhere. Lights back in this bedroom, just lights everywhere. And what's a house with bad lighting? If you don't have recessed lighting, what are you doing? Or if you just don't have lighting at all, what are you doing? So now we're going to take you guys down to the basement, and I'm going to show you guys around a little bit down there, show you guys what I did. This is, again, somewhere where you don't realize how much time goes into something until you actually go down and you look at what's there. So come with me down to the basement. I installed handrails. Code says you have to have handrails 36 inches above the steps or whatever. So these are 3-foot handrails. They're pretty basic and they're just mounted into the wall. If somebody wants to go in there and change those, they can be my guest. But I rebuilt all these stairs. There's a cherry landing pad here. I was not getting rid of the cherry hardwoods. I left the old 1, 2, 3, 4 panel with a window door here. I think it has some character. And I rebuilt all of these stairs myself. I'm limping right now because my knee is in bad shape. And I'm really proud of my stairwell, so I will show you my stairwell. Check that thing out. Alright, and then all the way around the basement here, so this is my pride and joy, again, because when I came down here at first, this basement was totally soaked. In February when it was -10-degree wind chill, this was frozen solid in ice. Now you come down here, and I have a dehumidifier running, of course, just to keep air moving and things like that, but there is no moisture down here, and I'm really pumped about that. So what I did down here was, again, I told you guys I did the French drain on the outside. When I did the French drain, that was a pretty expensive thing, and cost me a few $1,000s. Thank you, Dan and Greg Shockey, for doing that. I really appreciate it. It didn't take away all the moisture. It controlled it a little bit, but it didn't take away all the moisture. I still had moisture coming in through the block. So I'm thinking, oh boy, I just spent a few $1,000s. That was not built into the budget. What do I do now? So fortunately, in the world of real estate sales, you deal with a lot of contractors and handymen and things like that. My dad recommended a guy named Rick Thomas to come out here and install this hydrostatic water diversion system, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. Here you go. So this is what it looks like. It's an epoxy sealant down here that bonds to the concrete, a kind of like a plastic 45-degree angle barrier here, and then an epoxy sealant up here. What happens is, along these 3 walls, there's probably 200 inch in diameter, 200 1-inch in diameter holes drilled all the way down, going into my drain that runs outside. When the water comes off the hillside and runs into the block, it goes down and then it comes back up through those holes drilled behind there. Comes up, flows out and down. That was substantial. That really helped with getting the moisture out of here. The next thing we did was we dry locked the walls to keep any moisture from coming in through the walls. And then we also added, let me see, John Lucas came out and did basically a 1/2-inch fiberglass cement sealant here, which helps keep the moisture coming in from the base of the foundation. And then we dry locked over that again. So all in all, and of course we added the gutters, and then I also created a channel underneath my landscape beds in my garage of waterproof roofing paper that has a V channel cut down into it to follow the length of the French drain, and then that follows out and flows off the hillside. All of those things together took away my moisture issue, and my dehumidifier is running right now. We've had some rain off and on the last few days. My humidity here is at 44%, and I want to show you, just to prove to you. I don't know if it's going to show up on there. 42, 44%, and it just runs constantly. 44% humidity. Usually when I walk into a house that I am showing to a client or something, I will see like 60%, 70% humidity. I'm at 44% humidity. That's insane. That's dry nose, you know, humidity. That's insane. So I'm really happy about that. I'm really happy. This was extremely expensive to do down here. All of the French drain, the hydrostatic moisture diversion system, all the dry lock, the concrete, or the waterproofing cement on the inside and on the outside. It was very expensive, and it paid off in the gutters, and it paid off. I also had a friend of mine do a new manifold from the natural gas line coming in. That really helped, so that gives me separate valves and grounding for the furnace that runs over there, the natural gas insert that runs over, and then also for my stovetop in the kitchen. So that was really phenomenal. That was a nice help from Frank Lance. When I bought the house, this is crazy to say this, but when I bought the house, the gas line was coming in through the I don't know if you can see that or not. That's kind of a patch right there, but the gas was coming in through there. There was a steel pipe running through it, and the gas company came out and they turned the gas on, and I asked the guy, I said, "Hey, do you smell that?" And he goes, "No, not really, but I don't have, you know, maybe you have a sensitive nose." And I said, "Yeah, I do. I definitely have a sensitive nose." And he goes, "Well, let me go get my gas meter." He goes, he puts his gauge up to the wall, and the reader went through the roof with gas levels. Basically, the pipe had rusted out, and the walls were being filled with natural gas. If somebody lit a match in that house, or in this house, at that point in time, the whole town of Oakland would have exploded. It would have been crazy. So turned off all the heat, turned off all the water, turned everything off, and we had, like I said, I had Frank come in here and rerun this line and create this manifold so that we would get rid of that issue completely. So thank you, Frank. You're awesome. Frank also added these vents in here to keep heat coming down into the basement in the winters. Updated the panel box, added a few new breakers in here and stuff. Everything's updated. A lot of updated wiring coming in. High-speed internet. And I'm trying to think if I missed anything, honestly. I know there's a lot, and I think this video is a lot longer than I expected it to be at first, which is totally fine. I'm really excited and really passionate about this house and all the work that went into it, and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears of my own that I had to pour into this thing, and stress, and just so much stuff that goes into a house that I wanted to make this video to just show people, like, it can be done. It's a lot of work. It can be done, but for somebody who's willing to put in the work, you know, anything's possible. So definitely, what's going on there? Definitely just wanted to make this video to show everyone what it takes to do a house flip. Are you willing to get your hands dirty? Are you willing to pay somebody else to get it dirty, to get their hands dirty? Just really excited with how all of this turned out. And I think if anybody's looking to do a house flip, you definitely have to take into mind a couple things. One, it's going to take a lot longer than you think it's going to take. I made a bet with Mike Kennedy and Amy Zimmerman. I said, I bet you I have this house on the market by May. Well, May came along. I didn't even have siding on my house or windows. June came along. No, I'm just getting started on my kitchen.